It is delivery day. I'm currently in my mom's car and we are running to go get some cash real quick so we can take delivery of this new Infiniti G37. It's here, guys. It is here. All right, so this is my new to me 2013 G37. Just took delivery of it. Cosmetically, vehicle looks great. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, we have some mechanical issues. So it was labeled run and drive, but as I was pulling it back in off the trailer, I realized it was revving a little too high, especially in reverse. It seems like reverse is really the only thing I have right now, no drive or anything. So I knew I was gonna have to do something. Obviously nothing as big as this, but you know, I'm keeping a positive attitude. You live and you learn. Right now I'm learning. And I think the next step, obviously I need to do some research on the forums, because I was debating swapping in a new transmission. I honestly thought it was shot completely, but now after sitting in the vehicle for a while and looking at this big ass puddle right here, I'm gonna say that's transmission fluid. I don't know for sure. So we'll see what the next step is. And yeah. So this clip right here is really just highlighting where all that transmission fluid was leaking from. As you can see, those hard lines are pretty rusted out, but I was able to clean them off and move the rubber hoses down a little bit. Got some better hose clamps so that it would no longer leak, and filled it up with enough fluid to drive around. So this right here is a transmission. It's the whole all-wheel drive assembly from a 2019 Q50. I believe it has about 37,000 miles. So this whole unit is gonna be going underneath the car. No mixing and matching, all OEM. So I've tried to construct a little list of all the things I need to do. You know, simple. This, I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is the biggest thing I've ever done. So this is definitely an ambitious project. It's gonna be a learning process, and you guys are here for it. Quick update on the car. Disconnected the battery, removed crossbar. That's this big piece right here. That's 8 14mm bolts. Rear cross mount, that piece. Heat shield, that piece. These are both required. You need to remove these in order to access the drive shaft. All these parts are rusted. I'm gonna be replacing all of them. So with the two pieces removed earlier, it allows you to access this bolt right here. There's one over here, and then there's another one. There's it at. Right here. So these two bolts need to be removed. This is holding the drive shaft in the middle. And I'm also gonna need to remove, as you can see, there's 4 bolts. There's 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. Remove these. This is what actually attaches to the trans. So once those bolts are removed and these bolts are removed, it should buckle in the middle here. Hopefully I can grab it and then pull it out from the rear diff right here. Try not to damage the exhaust. So you can see I've got one of the bolts for the drive shaft removed. I've got them all loosened up. So prior to me removing the actual shaft, I'm gonna drain the fluid in the trans just to make it a little cleaner. And then we're gonna drop the drive shaft, so. As far as progress, this is a few days later. There's an update of everything that's been done. Still got a lot to do. And I'm gonna give you guys some insight on things I ran into. So this is the rear drive shaft, got that out. This is the front drive shaft. This was honestly a pain in the ass to get out. And I'm gonna show you why. So this area specifically was one of the biggest headaches for me personally. And that's because I was struggling to get that front drive shaft out. I made the mistake of trying to remove the rack, or at least move it out of the way, thinking that would give me clearance, but it wasn't the clearance I needed. So I had to put the rack back in, but I didn't take into account that, you know, when you're dropping the trans and everything, all of that, all the angles change. So that started pinching the rack. I had to push that back up to get the rack in, and then basically undo every bracket holding those hard lines on. And that was enough to literally get those lines like half an inch out of the way just to get the drive shaft. So sliding under the vehicle, as you can see, it's very rusty, but I've been working around it. But the first dilemma was this bolt here holding the crossbar. This thing snapped and I had to get an angle grinder in order to cut it out. So I'm gonna have to take care of that, get that extracted. These up here holding the drive shaft came out luckily, no issue. As you can see, trans is dropped. My girlfriend's dad actually came through. This dude's a mechanical wizard, so he definitely came through and helped me out a bunch. But I got some other things I gotta fix. As you can see, the trans mount bolts snapped in the car. Incredible. This is two pieces. This is a bolt and like a bushing almost, and they are seized together as one. I didn't realize they were supposed to be separate. So once I get these separated, I think it'll be easier to extract the bolt itself. But yeah, trans is out. The only way you're gonna get these bolts, especially at the top out, you can see they're not in yet, but those two threaded holes, you're gonna need an extension that literally comes back probably about right where the Y pipe ends. And that's how you're gonna break them free, right in between here. So yeah, this is an interesting angle. As you can see, this is the flex plate we're looking at. I'm gonna keep my stock one. I don't really plan on doing anything crazy, so maybe one day I'll get a upgraded billet one, but for now we're just gonna run stock. Transmission's been drained. I removed the old trans line just because they were corroded, but I'm also upgrading them. I got an external trans cooler that comes with like some braided hoses, so I'm gonna be putting those in. So I capped off the radiator. All harnesses are unplugged. As you can see, trans is dropped. So what needs to be done now? We need to take the TCM and swap it into the new VR30 trans. Now this is the old trans upside down. Have these both in neutral, so I got them in the neutral position. And we're gonna take all the bolts off along the oil pan, pull this out, and I'll resume it when we do that. Forgot to mention, prior to us doing anything, there is a retaining clip right here that needs to be removed. So might need a flathead. Oh, no, comes right out. So don't lose that, but that's gonna allow us to pull the valve body up and out. That basically was a clip keeping it in. So as far as the new trans goes, originally, I wanted to swap the TCM from my old one and put it in the new one, and I should have got a clip of this. When I took the pan off, there was just a whole bunch of remnants of, I don't know if it was clutch material, but I didn't really feel comfortable putting that in the new one and potentially risking this one bricking. So I'm gonna switch it up, try something different, and we're gonna retain the VR30 valve body and see how that does. I have a good feeling it'll work. The only thing I heard that I should look forward to is shift points when I'll be 6,500 RPM, and I'm gonna lose sport mode but it's really not a big deal because I'll still have manual mode. So that's going to be interesting. But the next things I need to do before I can even put that in is I need to cut out a spot for the crankshaft position sensor. I'm gonna get this done with an angle grinder. I think I'm gonna just cut a bunch of slits, do this first layer, because as you can see there's 2 layers, so I'm gonna get this first layer out so I can have clearance for the second layer. But just little slits, cut that out. Those trans mount bolts that I was mentioning, I was able to get out. As you can see, it's still never separated, so that gives you an idea of just how stuck together it was. But I was able to use some vice grips and get these off, so they came off as one piece. That was nice. This one I had to drill out, but that is a great accomplishment, and that's gonna allow me to move forward with putting the new trans in. So this one back here I still need to address, but this isn't stopping me from putting the trans in, so glad I was able to get that one out. I'd highly recommend test fitting the transmission on. If you have a jack like this one, just make sure you put it on and get an idea of where it balances, because where you think it might balance might be way off and it might flip one way. And this is really useful knowing before when you drop the original trans, so you know exactly where to place the jack, just to make it a little safer when it's coming down. So here is another update on the vehicle. Since that last clip, I had to just hustle it out, and I pulled the overnighter, put the new trans in by myself. So you can see VR30 is nowhere to be found. Old one's sitting right here. I'll show you underneath the car. As you can see, trans is in. It's being supported by the floor jack right now, just because trans jack is wonderful for putting it in, but getting the angles right and having it sit how it's supposed to be when it's bolted up, this is beneficial. So this is the Z1 custom trans mount, and this is going to allow me to use the OEM cross member. So those bolts are out. You can see the whole bell housing is bolted up. Got to torque down this bolt, the other one on the other side, and then there's, I think, 114 from the front that I need to torque. It's this one right here. These two aren't gonna line up, so this one and this one don't line up. It looks close, but I don't know if you guys can see, but it's just off by a hair. So that one's slightly off, this one's really off, kind of, and then that one there. But everything else bolts right up, starter bolts up. This came with the Z1 kit. It's like a O2 sensor bracket replacement, because on the old trans, I think there's 2 threaded holes on the bottom here of the, what is this, the bell housing, and that has like a bracket that holds these harnesses up, but you lose that on the VR30, so this just takes advantage of some threaded bolts here. Couldn't get these bolts to go all the way back, didn't want to strip it out, so I just used the old rusted out bushing that was here as like a spacer, I guess, and that let me put this bracket on. It's all mounted tight, so I get that all tidied up, test fitted the drive shaft. It's just incredible how easy it goes in versus how difficult it was to take out. But before I do that, as you can see, trans lines are not in, hard lines are nowhere to be found, and that is because I'm deciding to go the custom route. I ended up ordering just a like universal external cooler, and I'm gonna run some of these lines all the way back directly to the trans using some banjo fittings. So I'm really excited about this. The first time I've had like a proper trans cooler. Feels very premium. This is like I think a 25 row or 20 row, I'm not sure. Evil Energy though. So in order to get that trans cooler all hooked up, I'll start by taking this front bumper off. That'll give me some clearance, and then we can start getting an idea of how to route the lines and how long I need to cut them. If we take a look under the car, you can see here, I've got the banjo fittings to a 45-degree bend, all hooked up to the hoses, just kind of doing a test fit to see how long I should cut them. But these are the OEM bolts. Ran them down this way. This is that bracket I was talking about earlier. I think I'm gonna utilize that as just kind of a support. Ran them this way, up and over the power steering rack, through here underneath the CV axle. So kind of following the path of the original hard lines. I think the bracket for that was this right here, but keep going this way. Then I brought it under this lower radiator hose through here. There's a gap. I don't know if you can see, but there is a little opening back there already, so there's no cutting required. Just ran the hoses through there. Well, you can see what I was talking about on this side. So little pocket, ran them through there. When this is all bolted up, these hoses are gonna run through this little gap right there. And then I'm gonna bring it up here. All right, everyone, as you can see, the car looks a little different. A lot has happened since that last clip I recorded. Been busy with work, but on the days that I haven't been working, I've been trying to hustle and get this done because it's kind of frustrating me. So let me show you what's happened so far. Okay, so if we take a look up front here, you can see I got a external transmission cooler mounted. Those lines I showed in the previous clip were leading to this cooler. So it's temporarily mounted right now because I literally have everything done. It's ready for a little test start. If everything checks out, I'm gonna continue doing what I need to get this thing on the road. Another thing I'm very amped about, I was able to, as you can see, add a transmission dipstick to this new VR30 trans. So that made it so much easier filling the transmission fluid from the top opposed to having to pump it through the bottom. But underneath the car, everything's buttoned up, sitting flush. Got some temporary bolts right here on the trans mount because, you know, the original ones broke. So I'm gonna order some new ones, but that'll do for now. Those are grade 8, I think. So they ought to get the job done. O2 sensors in. Brought the brackets from the original pan over just to keep the wires up out of the way. Everything's torqued to spec. And yeah, guys, I'm nervous excited right now. I'm ready to start this thing. And let's hope everything goes good. 1 month cold start, but this time it's got a VR30 trans on startup. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No lights. That tire light's gonna go off because it still doesn't know these OEM shoes are on, but oh my goodness, y'all. This is with a VR TCM. So this is not even using the VQ TCM, VR TCM. So I put about 3 quarts in. We're gonna let it run for about 5 minutes. Let it get up to operating temp. And then probably gonna have to add about 2 more quarts. But man, this is good, y'all. This is great. This is great.